Previously in the TCR International Series. Race 1 at the Salzburgring in Austria saw retirement for very different reasons for both Pepe Oriola and Dušan Borković. Torrential rain in race 2 meant more drama, more action. An unexpected victory for the Volkswagen of Jean-Carl Vernet, with his teammate Stefano Comini finishing third, meant the championship table looked very different after 10 rounds. 5 drivers are covered by just 13 points, with 6th placed Mat'o Homola only another 5 adrift. The biggest disappointment was felt by Oriola. The technical problem meant he scored no points in Austria and so lost the championship lead to a delighted Comini. Oriola's teammate James Nash is now third, with 4th place shared by Vernet, the race winner in the rain, and the clearly frustrated Gianni Morbidelli.
We are still fighting for the championship. Will be a tough season.
Now we are first in the championship standing, and I want to defend my first position and try to do my best.
I'm 1 point behind Stefano again with Stefano fighting for the title.
I mean, it's okay. We're not that far from the leader, so I think it's pretty positive.
It's been a real challenge maintaining it and very eventful so far.
The motorsport arena at Oschersleben in Germany hosts rounds 11 and 12 and so marks the halfway point in the season. Some drivers have competed here before, while for others the test sessions on the Thursday gave them their first chance to get acquainted with the circuit. Oschersleben is a tight, twisty track and so very different in character to the Salzburgring.
Yeah, it's a really twisty track with really slow corners.
And if you are braking a little bit late and going wide, you can go directly to the gravel.
Quite easy where to make a mistake.
I think Oschersleben can be a track for us.
Cars with the weight advantage such as VWs, we don't hit 6th gear, so the straight line speed disadvantage isn't there for them.
In all, there were 6 test sessions on the Thursday, with all 5 of the championship contenders towards the top of the timesheets. In fact, the only 2 drivers to go under a 1 minute 35 second lap time were the men who lie first and second, Comini and Oriola. The scene then is set for another great race weekend.
I will try to do my best.
We're just trying to do our best we can do on the track, and the team is doing a really good job.
I'm positive, I'm quite optimistic because I have a good feeling with the car.
Here we can battle and here we can win.
I would love a podium, but top 5 finishes would be perfect for me.
After rain disrupted the second free practice session on Saturday morning, qualifying was held under blue skies. Lap times soon started to fall, with first Pepe Oriola and then Jean-Carl Vernet going fastest. Several drivers had problems getting their tyres up to temperature, with Attila Tassi lucky to get away with this encounter with the tyre wall. Oriola soon bettered Vernet's time, only for the French driver to go faster still within moments. But around 2 minutes later, it was clear that Mat'o Homola was also on a charge. Sure enough, he went fastest, although the troubles continued for his young teammate Tassi. In the other B3 Racing SEAT, Dušan Borković set the 4th fastest time with a little over 5 minutes of the session remaining. As the clock ticked down, Oriola had slipped to 10th and must have been concerned about dropping out of the top 12. He duly attacked and went fastest of all with a time that wouldn't be beaten, while German newcomer Niklas Maksin failed in a last-gasp attempt to go through to Q2. Sergei Afanasiev's 9th place would have been more than enough, but he improved to 4th on his very last lap. Both of the Leopard Racing Golfs made it into Q2, but Oschersleben wouldn't be the happy hunting ground many had predicted. Stefano Comini was fastest early on, but several drivers, including Jean-Carl Vernet, had laps disallowed for infringing track limits. Afanasiev would eventually qualify 6th, despite this excursion, but it would be an all-SEAT front row for race 1. With around 2.5 minutes of the session remaining, Dušan Borković drove a perfect lap to set the fastest time and so grab pole position for the 2nd time this season. James Nash was 4th fastest, but with Vernet's best lap time being disallowed, he would move up to 3rd. David Kajaya starts race 2 from pole thanks to the reverse grid, but the front row for race 1 sees Mat'o Homola in second place alongside his delighted teammate.
I am really happy for this because this is the second pole, but of course I'm not happy because somebody says to me, I think that maybe engineer from Poo, and he said the perfect thing, like, you are the qualifying master and race disaster. So I did a lot of, I had some bad luck in the races, but I'm happy because every time we are showing, my team and me, we are showing the speed, and I'm happy because of that. Of course, I don't know what will happen tomorrow, but this qualifying is good for my self-confidence.
A grey, cloudy race day here at Oschersleben. Rounds 11 and 12 of the TCR International Series 2016. And I have to say, this is probably the coolest day we've had since we arrived in Germany. The clouds are threatening. We saw rain in qualifying. We saw rain in free practice 2. What will the clouds do today? Will they hold off, or will they deposit their contents all over this 3.696 kilometer circuit? 17 laps are race distance, and as ever, 2 TCR International races this afternoon. I'm hearing from the grid that all our cars, apart from one, are on slick tyres. Borković on pole position. Alongside him on the grid, his teammate Mat'o Homola. Row 2 is James Nash and Antti Buri from Finland. Sergei Avanasiev, Gianni Morbidelli, row 3. Jean-Carl Vernet and Pepe Oriola on row 4. And then row 5 will be the front row of the grid for race 2 this afternoon. Stefano Camini will start from second, but our pole sitter for race 2 is David Kajaya from Georgia. Peter Fullin in the Alpha and Attila Tassi alongside him. There is the marshal, waiting for everybody to be in position. The green flag is waved. We wait for the lights to go on in sequence, and when they go off, we will be racing. Lights on. And lights off. What can Borković do? And it looked like Nash alongside Homola in the drag down to turn 1. Nash is definitely in front of Homola. There's contact between the two. Nash weaving to the right-hand side of the track as they look at it. Homola tucks in. It's Borković safely through as we check behind. And there, oh, we expected there to be a casualty. That's Mikhail Grachov, and oh, indeed, that's one of the Craft-Bamboo Lukoil cars off across the grass. Was that Oriola or was that Avanasiev? Around turn 3, the leaders go. Borković opening up an advantage over James Nash. It's Mat'o Homola in third ahead of Antti Buri. Then it's the 2 Volkswagens of Leopard. And Attila Tassi alongside, or nearly alongside, David Kajaya. He squeezes through on the inside of the left-hander. Indeed, Tassi makes it stick. This is where all the bumping and banging was. There you see Grachov in trouble. And I think Peter Fullin made an awful start, possibly a technical problem on the grid for him. That would explain his lowly position, as we saw Gianni Morbidelli spinning across the grass. Nash defending now from Buri, but doesn't close the door in time. Buri goes through. Antti Buri, who scored a fantastic 3rd place in Spa when he was driving as a guest driver for the Leopard racing team, squeezes past into 3rd place. And Camini coming under attack from Attila Tassi, who's sideways. An ill-judged attempt to go round the outside, and Tassi doesn't make it stick, sliding off into the gravel. Now this is Tassi's move on Camini. On the outside, the dirty line, and just the back of the car gets away from him, and into the gravel he goes. And Borković is slowing. That's our race leader. Borković has slowed. He's now down to 3rd. While we were looking at the replay, Borković has slipped down. And that's why a big slide from Borković through the gravel, allowing Homola to take the lead. And Borković will be kicking himself for that. Borković slips to 2nd. Past goes Antti Buri. Thank you very much, Dušan. And so the safety car, all being well, will only be out for a lap or so. And we will be underway again. Safety car in this lap. That's confirmation of what I was speculating on earlier. And so it's now down to Mat'o Homola to decide when he goes. Our race leader, Mat'o Homola, comes around turn 14. This right-hander gets us back onto the start-finish straight, puts the hammer down, as does Antti Buri behind him. They take the green flag and we're racing once again. So it's Homola from Buri. Hopefully they'll have got an advantage, that Homola will have opened up, but does Buri take a look up the inside? He does, but he's not quite close enough. And whoa, that was a little rub between Kamini, who's alongside his teammate Vinay. Vinay heavier, and Kamini goes through. Avanasiev takes a look, takes to the grass, but no, doesn't find a way through. Kamini now 5th. Vinay defending from Avanasiev, who's right up behind the Volkswagen. The pair touch, or do they? Pepe Oriola moves up alongside Avanasiev and moves through. So possibly there was contact between the pair. And that's, again, Morbidelli in the wars. Morbidelli and collision with Sheehan. Heavy contact with Gary Sheehan in the Liqui-Moly Team Enschler car. I wonder if the race director will take a look at that back, because it was Morbidelli off into the gravel as Buri possibly runs wide. He does. Alongside him goes Borković, who squeezes through the gap. Buri just leaving the door open enough, and enough for James Nash to go through as well. And let's take a look again. Buri just running wide. Borković squeezes through the gap. There's a touch between them. Buri runs wide, and Nash pops up the inside to take 3rd. Oh, and another slide from Borković. And through the gravel once again he goes. And lucky to escape unscathed as he comes back on the track, forcing Kamini onto the curbs. What is Dušan doing? And Buri has to cut the chicane to avoid contact with Dušan Borković. So Homola starts his 10th lap. Nash now up to 2nd, ahead of Buri. Borković has dropped to 4th. Kamini still 5th. Oriola up to 6th, ahead of Avanasiev and Vinay, who's dropped to 8th. Ceruti is still 9th, ahead of Kajaya. Fulin still 11th, ahead of Grachov. Morbidelli 13th. Machin 14th. Gary Sheehan is 15th. And of course, Attila Tassi taking no further part in proceedings. So 15 of our 16 runners still going as Stefano Kamini takes a look up the inside of Attila Tassi, Antti Buri in the purple and yellow SEAT. And Kamini has the line for the next left-hander. Borković, meanwhile, has got past Buri, as has Kamini. So Buri in trouble. Slight contact and Kamini goes sideways. Buri goes through the gap. A slight tap, or was there, from Pepe Oriola on the rear of Kamini's car. Buri leads that chain between himself, Kamini, the two Craft-Bamboo Lukoil cars of Pepe Oriola and Sergei Avanasiev. Then it's Vinay ahead of Michaela Ceruti. And that was Peter Fulin in the background taking a look at the inside of Kajaya. So it could be 2 alphas in the top 10. As Oriola goes round the outside of Stefano Kamini. So Oriola has taken 5th and is looking now at seizing 4th from Buri. And through also goes Sergei Avanasiev. So, contact between Buri and Oriola. The incidents continue. Through goes Avanasiev. There is Ceruti now ahead of Buri. And the green and red on the left-hand side of your screen, just underlying how many incidents there are. Vinay now back ahead of Kamini. Let's take a replay of that. It was contact between Oriola, who turned into Antti Buri. Avanasiev goes through, as does Kamini. Let's take another look at it. Indeed, it was Oriola. Now, I'm wondering if that was just a racing incident, the two of them contesting the same part of track. Mat'o Homola then, on lap 12 of 19, ahead of James Nash. Dušan Borković 3rd, then it's Sergei Avanasiev 4th. The first of the Leopard Racing Volkswagen Golfs of Jean-Carl Vinay in 5th, ahead of Buri, then Kamini, and Kamini goes straight on at turn 1, spinning off backwards. Is Mikhail Grachov in the number 8 Honda. Now that must be unrelated. There can't have been contact between those two, because Grachov was 3 places behind Kamini. Let's take a look at that. And Kamini just goes straight on, misses his braking point. Now, I don't think there was contact. I think, again, it was Grachov. Let's take another look at it from a different angle. And indeed, Grachov just spins off, having missed his braking point for the square left-hander at turn 1. Comini sprints down the pit lane. So, Borković just takes a little look, as does Buri, up the inside of Vinay, and I think makes it stick. Yes, he does. Buri then passes Vinay for 5th, going into turn 1 at the start of this 16th lap. And yet another incident under investigation as we look at Peter Fullin in the pits. The incident involving Stefano Comini will be reviewed after the race. Disappointment for Cerruti. She's pulled up, which means Gary Sheehan is in the point-scoring positions. Will Gary Sheehan take a point home to the USA from his maiden appearance in the TCR International Series? No changes as Homola takes up the charge to the line for this final time. We're on lap 19 of 19. Mat'o Homola still leads by over a second from James Nash as Dušan Borković takes a look up the inside. Can he repeat? Yes, he can! The manoeuvre from the Salzburg wing where he dived through into turn 1. Dušan Borković has taken second place away from James Nash. Oh, and that's Gary Sheehan, I was saying earlier on, bouncing all over the gravel and sliding into another gravel trap. And I think that is a sad end to Gary Sheehan's bid for a point. The lights will flash, I suspect. He punches the air. He takes the checkered flag. Mat'o Homola takes his first victory of the season. A 1-2 for B3 Racing with Dušan Borković in second place. James Nash third. Sergei Afanasiev fourth. Antti Buri fifth. Jean-Carl Venet sixth. Gianni Morbidelli seventh. David Kajaya, there's delight in the B3 Racing area. David Kajaya, a victory for Mat'o Homola in the B3 Racing SEAT ahead of Borković, Nash, Afanasiev, Buri, Venet, Morbidelli, Kajaya, Makshin, and relieved, I suspect, Pepe Oriola. Our non-points finishers, Sheehan, Cerruti, Fullin, Grachov, Comini, and Attila Tassi. Out comes Mat'o Homola on top of the car, and you can hear the cheers from the team. A delighted race 1 winner.
This is what I wanted. This is my dream. This dream came true, to win in the International Series. First of all, there was a dream to come here, and now I'm first here and I'm leading the championship. So it's amazing.
A spot of champagne, everybody. Why not? A dramatic race 1 here at Oschersleben then, but we have the small matter of another race to get through this afternoon. And who would lay any bets on what's to happen in the remaining 17 laps, or maybe more, and the safety cars? Who knows? And then what can happen between David Kajaya and Pepe Oriola going down to turn 1. Kajaya then having Oriola alongside him. Oriola determined to salvage something from Germany. Row 2 is now Venet and Morbidelli. Afanasiev and Buri on row 3. James Nash, a podium finish in race 1. And Mat'o Homola, race 1 victor, alongside each other. Dušan Borković alongside Peter Fullin in the Alpha. And then it's Attila Tassi, Mikhail Grachov, Niklas Makshin, Michaela Cerruti in the back row of the grid. It's Stefano Comini, as I mentioned, and also Gary Sheehan. It's David Kajaya on the left of your screen. What can he do in this sprint down to turn 1? Can he hold off from Pepe Oriola? The lights go on, and they go off. Pepe Oriola, we're watching. Kajaya moves across the block, and he does so. Venet is alongside Oriola, who moves in turn to block Morbidelli, who has no way through for this left-hander. Oriola, I suspect, has got the line as Buri tucks up alongside Morbidelli. Is there contact? There's nudging. Oh, and Oriola's going sideways. And is that Morbidelli? At the back of your... That is Morbidelli with the Komotsi sponsorship logos. So Morbidelli, a poor race 1 and a poor race 2, you have to say. That's where Morbidelli should have been, but he's a long, long way down, as that was Attila Tassi in the background getting it sideways. Oriola moves to block Venet, who's involved in a scrap of his own with Borković, who dives up the inside. Contact, and off goes Venet. A tap between Borković and Vinay, and another tap between the two teammates. This is just remarkable stuff. Oriola, meanwhile, scrapping for the lead with Kajaya. Has he got the line? Yes, he has. As the Leopard car goes off into the gravel in the background. Lap 1 of this second race, just as incident-packed as lap 1 of the first. Oriola takes the lead from Kajaya. Nash is looking at Homola with Borković tucked in behind. Afanasiev alongside Buri as that's Homola getting it sideways and up on two wheels as he comes out of turn 1. But manages to hang on. Oriola ahead of Kajaya. Oh, and a tap there for Buri, and that's Grachov in the Honda who spins onto the grass. And that's Homola, I think, behind us. Nash runs wide. Has he allowed Homola up the inside? The sandwich mud. No, Nash comes sideways. Afanasiev up the inside. And it's indeed the Russian driver who grabs the place. Borković again runs wide. And into the pits comes Grachov. After the 2 race victories early in the year, it's 0 points from Oschersleben, I'm afraid. Oriola then pulling away. Is this going to be win number 3 of the season for Pepe Oriola? David Kajaya second, as Nash takes a look up the inside of Afanasiev, who weaves over to the side to block Homola and allows Nash through. Nash then through up into 4th place behind Borković as the 2 B3 Racing, the grey Seats, all over the back of Afanasiev's car now. It's Tassi on the left of your screen, Homola on the right. Afanasiev moves across to block. Let's take a replay of this first turn as Oriola gets it sideways. That's where somebody tapped Morbidelli into a spin. And I think it was contact, it was full in that was knocked into Morbidelli, who was then spun completely around as Borković takes a look up the inside of Kajaya. Thinks better of it, but Kajaya now under extreme pressure from the Seat as Borković just eases through on the inside. This right-hander. Borković, I think, has done it. But in the run down to turn 3, it'll be Kajaya who's got the line. And indeed, Kajaya hangs on. But Borković won't settle for 3rd. All over the back of the Golf. Oh, and he does it again! Huge slide from Dušan Borković. Kamini takes a look up the inside. Has he done it? Yes, he has. Times that move to perfection. A little puff of brake dust of tyre smoke from the Alpha, and Kamini is through. So Kamini has moved from 10th to 9th. There is confirmation on the left of your screen. And so from 1 point to 2 points. Could still do with more than that, though, as Borković has moved past Kajaya when we were watching the scrap for 9th. Borković is now 2nd ahead of Kajaya. And this is where it happened. Turn 1, yet again. Kajaya untidy and across the curbs, and Borković seizes the moment, seizes the chance, and moves through into 2nd place. Thank you very much. Kajaya now under pressure from Nash. The big scrap at the moment for 3rd as Nash weaves across the track. Kajaya, though, has the line for turn 1. Kajaya turns in. Oh, no, and misses his braking point. Disaster for the Georgian driver, and James Nash says, thank you very much, I'll have 3rd. Afanasiev moves through into 4th. Oh, and Kamini takes a lunge up the inside and times it brilliantly going into turn 1. No such issues with locking up or missing his braking point. Kamini times that beautifully, and so Kamini snatches 7th place away from Nicholas Machin, and his next target, Attila Tassi, ahead in the Seat. Tassi holds the line for the left-hander turn 1. And it's all about the psychological pressure that Kamini can put onto the young Hungarian driver, Attila Tassi. Talking of young drivers, Nicholas Machin, still only 21 himself, not dropping back, still involved in that scrap in the Liqui-Moly car. Oh, there must have been contact there. Tassi runs slightly wide and Kamini muscling up the inside. What was I saying earlier about him being gentlemanly? That was the Kamini of old as he muscles his way past. but he takes the place. And around turn 14 comes Pepe Oriola. The drag to the flag is all that stands between him and win number 3 of the 2016 TCR International Series. He takes the flag, as does Borković in second place. James Nash flashing his lights in delight, as is Sergei Afanasiev, 3rd and 4th respectively. Homola will finish 5th. But let's just confirm for you the results of race 2 here in Oschersleben. Pepe Oriola, the victor, ahead of Dušan Borković, James Nash, Sergei Afanasiev, Mat'o Homola, Stefano Camini, Attila Tassi, Niklas Maxin, Michela Ceruti, and it was Gianni Morbidelli in 10th. And let's see the reaction as he gets out the car. Relief, delight, he punches the air. That says it all. I'm back, says Pepe.
I had a problem in my engine, so everything is okay now. I'm back in the lead in the championship. It could be better without any bad behavior of some other drivers, but racing is the way it is, and no one told me that it was easy to win the championship.
He shares the championship lead with James Nash. Homola is now 3rd. He'll be happy enough with that, just 4 points adrift. Then Camini, Venet and Morbidelli. Afanasiev, if you look, only 3 points down on Morbidelli. And then there's a bit of a gap back to Borković, who, as I said earlier, could really do with winning a couple of races in the second half of the season. And so that wraps up proceedings here at Oschersleben. 12 rounds of the TCR International Series done, 10 more to go. Plenty more action to come then between now and the end of the season. As I say, 10 more rounds between we finish off in Macau in November. But next, in 2 weeks' time, it's the 2 races in Sochi in Russia. But from Oschersleben, it's goodbye.